Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your host Jibril Abu Sumayyah. This is our third episode on My New Life, where we'll be discussing how to deal with non-Muslim family members. As new Muslims, this is definitely something that we all encounter different experiences, some positive, some negative, and some absolutely no difference whatsoever. In this episode, we'll be covering that. Without further ado, let me introduce my co-host, Jibril Abu Aasiyah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, so when you accepted Islam, of course you mentioned that you was raised by a single parent mother who was Catholic. I imagine your sisters were Catholics as well, right?
Yeah.
So how did they respond to you accepting Islam?
So my mum was all right with it. The reason being is that the companions that I grew up with anyway, she knew I'm gonna be sticking with them anyway, and they came from good homes. I mean, their parents they taught them good etiquettes and what have you. Yeah, they did make trouble and what have you, but so did I, kind of thing. So although there was a lot, and there still is a lot of controversy on the media and what have you, my initial thought was that she might be like, oh, why are you becoming da 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 da? But she did question it, of course. Are you sure about this?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do this? What was the reason and this and what have you? Because I left, remember I was Catholic before, so I left that sect of Christianity and I moved on to Pentecostal. So she knew, okay, he's trying to find his way in life. So she did question it and say, are you sure? Are you what have you? But and sometimes she'll like make funny comments and what have you.
Okay.
Because obviously, when I took my shower, I wanted to wear the thobe and all of that stuff. Like, say, Mum, look at me, and like she'll make funny comments here and there. But like as I said to you, she knew my companions, so she knew I'm just gonna go left off the rails and start doing all other stuff. But then when I started to get more into the deen, then she thought, right, he's taking this really seriously. It's not like it's another phase of him growing up. He's taking this really seriously. So she asked me a few things and what have you. I did try to give her da'wah a few times, tried to tell her about Islam, what have you. But yeah, she didn't take it as bad as I thought she was going to take it.
So
anyway.
you expected a negative kind of response?
I not totally negative, but much more question and drilling and kind of thing.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I guess it was a positive for you ultimately growing up with some Muslim friends, and your mum getting to encounter and interact with them every now and again would make her feel a little bit more comfortable about Islam, because a lot of new Muslims, their parents have not really had the chance to interact with Muslims. Like my dad, when me and my brother accepted Islam, my dad hadn't really interacted with many Muslims, and he was a little bit sort of more negative. He kind of maybe paid a little bit too much attention to what was said in the news. And this is something that I think a lot of parents go through, which is understandable, because if you see a lot of controversy or negative press about Islam and you haven't studied it yourself to understand it, naturally it might be a bit concerning when your child then accepts Islam and becomes a Muslim, and as you said, starts creating an Islamic appearance, wearing a thobe, etc. I remember one time I came back home from Fajr and I was in a thobe and I had the scarf thing like wrapped around my head. I was kind of looking a bit like a mujahid. But my dad was like, you're coming on a bit strong, in ya? You know, when I came back home. And this is something that they have to deal with, and this is something that we have to deal with. It can be a test from Allah, it can be a blessing from Allah. As I mentioned, my sister actually accepted Islam. My mum accepted Islam. So that was all very positive. Unfortunately, my dad is not a Muslim yet, but he has a few Muslim associates, people that he does business with, for example, but he definitely doesn't have a negative perception of Islam. And I know of a number of individuals, close companions of mine, who have had very difficult experiences dealing with the change that their children have gone through.
Yeah.
But I've also noticed you and how your relationship is with your mum. I heard you on your phone to your mum a couple of times, and she seems to me like sort of almost like your best friend.
Yeah, bubbly.
You've got a very good relationship with your mum. I was able to detect that. So I think that that's something that probably would have helped you a lot.
Yeah, it helped a lot because we had a strong relationship. I must admit there was a point in our lives where it became a bit more distance. I wouldn't say it was too much to do with Islam. It was slightly to do with it, but it became a bit distant. So, I mean, because I was getting more and more serious in it, and I was stop doing stuff and I was staying away from certain things that she did, which I didn't agree with.
Like what?
For example, the celebrations, like Christmas celebration and the birthdays and the food that we eat and what have you, all these kind of stuff. But we still have that. We still have this bubbly connection till this day. I can understand why she felt like that. I mean, imagine growing up when your child is doing everything with you, and eventually now he's at an age where he just stopped. He's almost, I would say, antisocial from their social events, for example. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
so sometimes they might not understand why. Why can't you celebrate Christmas with us? Why can't you drink with us? Why can't you? Yeah.
So it's like it's a touchy subject. But one thing I did try to do is, because I did try to tell about Islam and what have you. But one thing I tried to do the most is, as my character, I tried to be the best character I can be, so she can see. So she can see, because before I was getting in trouble a lot of times. I was going in trouble. I was coming back late. I was doing all sorts of bad stuff. I mean, at one point I get in trouble with the police a few times in my life. So she saw, okay, Rob, the contrast between what he used to do now and what he used to do before is different. He's much more humbling. I ain't got to worry about, wow, this guy's coming back late, or I ain't got to worry about police knocking on my door anymore, and him getting up to no good and what have you. He's living in a much more humble way. I may not agree with his beliefs, but at least his character's change in terms of what he does. So I try to show that a lot more. I try to show that, Mum, I'm a changed person. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be doing what I used to do.
I think, and I've got a very close companion of mine. He's called Rafiq, from North London, Tottenham. And he shared with me, we was out giving dawah once, and he told me that his mum sent him, because I said to him, like, yo, like, your mum must be really proud of you, because before, he used to, like, you thought he used to get into trouble, he used to get into serious trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, he used to be in shootouts and then going to work the next morning, like, really, really serious trouble. So his mum lived through that and saw that. And as a Muslim, of course, and as someone who was a practicing Muslim as well, those things didn't exist in his life anymore. Them kind of beefs and not being able to go here, not being able to go there, getting stabbed, getting shot, that wasn't something he had to deal with anymore. And his mum, he told me, his mum sent him a message saying, I just want to let you know that, like, I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of who you've become and what you've achieved. She hasn't accepted Islam or anything like that, but she just can bear witness to the change in his character. And I think that that's definitely one thing that if we had non-Muslim parents here whose children have accepted Islam, I think they would all unanimously agree. I'd like to think that, yes, my child is most definitely a better individual having accepted Islam and becoming a Muslim. Because as we know in Islam, the importance of parents is held in such high regard.
Of course, yeah.
You know, Allah mentions in the Quran that we should worship Him alone and then be dutiful to your parents. And, you know, and the scholars mention about how significant it is that Allah has mentioned the most important thing in our lives, which is to worship Him alone, and then next, straight after that, mention to be dutiful to your parents. So,
especially with your mother as well.
Especially with your mother, of course, 100%. And again, it comes back to the point that as new Muslims, this can be a real opportunity and a challenge for us. Because I know of some brothers whose parents really test them, and they have to make sure they watch their manners, how they deal with their parents. It's so easy to go off the rails and start arguing with them and getting into heated debates with them, and there's no barakah in that, there's no blessings in that, and you can actually anger Allah, even if you're in the right. You can anger Allah by raising your voice to your parents. When Allah says in the Quran, don't even huff to them, don't even say uff to them. You know, and for myself, I have to say, you know, my mum hasn't been a challenge, but my dad has been a challenge at times. for me and my brother. And sometimes we have fallen short. Even if you're fortunate enough to have a family member who accepts Islam, there's another test within itself because you have to deal with them gently. I remember when my mum accepted Islam, she actually happened to have been living with my brother at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously when you're a new Muslim, you're so full of zeal, your iman is so high, and you're so shadeed, you're so like firm and severe. And I think both of us was a little bit too strong on our mum, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And that was a mistake that we made. But you live and you learn.
You learn, of course, yeah.
But no doubt, I mean, I remember I was giving dawah to someone who comes from an Asian background, you know, Indians, but they were not Sikhs or Hindus, they were actually Christians.
Right, right.
And Asians, they're very close. As a family unit, they're very, very close together. And she did accept Islam. She's someone that I met when I was studying. And when I got her a Quran, and she told me that her parents took the Quran and they threw it in the bin. Or not sure if they threw it in the bin, actually. She said that they threw it away. I know of another brother whose parent like chopped the Quran, basically, like cut it in half, threw it away, kicked them out of the house. There's so many tests that they go through. Yeah. But what does Allah say in the Quran? Do you think that you say that you believe and you will not be tested?
Yeah.
You know, and when I speak to them now, when I ask them like, how is everything? How's your family? Their family have accepted them being Muslims.
Yeah.
They've got no problem with it whatsoever in the slightest. It's just that sometimes they want to test you. Your parents actually want to test you and see how real are you, how serious are you about this thing. And they think that if they rattle you a little bit, then you'll leave it. But alhamdulillah, if you remain steadfast, then that will ease and that passes over a period of time. Do you know of any brothers or sisters yourself? Because you're married, right?
Yes, yeah.
Do you know of any experiences yourself, or perhaps maybe how your parents-in-law,
my
your mother-in-law, your father-in-law?
My mother-in-law, on the other hand, she was because I knew my current wife before she was Muslim. So maybe in the next episode we'll talk about how we got married and what have you. But anyway, part of the reason why she became Muslim is because of me giving her da'wah.
Okay.
And then but we when she became Muslim, we never saw each other for quite a while. We then saw each other. We then stumbled upon each other again, and then I found out she was Muslim, and then alhamdulillah we got married.
We have to save that story for another episode because that's one of the most beautiful marriage stories I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So we will tell that story definitely.
But then anyway, when we finally did get when my missus took Shahada, she just like me, she was on it. She wore the jilbab and everything. She was proper on the practicing the deen. When we got married, however, her mum used to see it as like, she's only doing it because of me and what have you. Regardless, even we never saw each other for a year, and I didn't know she was even Muslim. Yeah. But I could say there was a bit of pressure with her mum. Her mum was a bit anti it. I mean, she wasn't in the tip where like, get out of my house and what have you. But her mum was like, she saw the deen as like this stigma where you have to control your women and this and that, and obviously that's her daughter, so she wants to protect her daughter. Yeah, she became quite protective. So I couldn't say she had a liking to me at all. Right. It was an uphill struggle. I mean, things were happening. She's like, oh, it's because of him. Why are you not eating? Because you do Ramadan and stuff. Why are you not eating? How come you got to pray? Why are you dressing like this? Why this? Why that? So she had it much like in terms of how mum reacted was much different to how I had it.
How did your wife deal with that?
She just kept at it. And she
kept firm.
She kept firm, and she kept telling her, reassuring her mum that it's nothing to do with him. I become Muslim because I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I believe what the book says. So she just tried to reiterate to her mum that this is the reason why I'm Muslim, and this is how I'm gonna be. It's not gonna change. But me and her mum, it was like I never used to we never argue and everything, but she didn't have a liking to me at all.
What's your relationship like now?
Mad close, mad close. Like she's on the phone to me. I go to her house, and we're proper close. Like we're proper close, man. Yeah, but like you would think that, like how did they even become even talking and what have you? But like sometimes we on the phone together. Sometimes we go visit them around the house. She's always asking me how I am and stuff like that. We literally live really close to each other, as a matter of fact. So I see her nearly every other day, and no, our relationship is much tighter. And the relationship with my mum, and my missus, my wife, is proper close. Like, they're on the phone together. Sometimes my missus goes to visit my mum without me and with the kids and stuff like that.
For my wife, when she accepted as Islam. By the way, is your wife's mum quite religious, or is she not so religious?
She wasn't. She is Christian, but she wasn't too religious. But she had a look of Islam as really negative, especially what she thinks how women are treated.
But now she knows.
Now she knows exactly how it is. Alhamdulillah.
My wife's mum is and was a very, very strong Christian. Very strong. But she had good manners. You know, she had good etiquettes about her. So even though she was a very, very strong Christian, she didn't try and force her away from Islam.
Yeah.
I think it helped the fact that she lived a little bit further away. She lives out of London. So the influence may not have been as strong as if she lived very close by.
Yeah.
But I remember my wife telling me that her mum said that she's had a dream. Her mum said that she had a dream where my wife was running through a maze and Jesus was waiting for her at the end of the maze saying, like, come to me, come to me. And she was running through a maze trying to find him. And my wife, obviously, not that she didn't believe her, but, you know, that this was something, she loves her mum. I think this is how it is with women. I think women who accept Islam, it's quite likely that they have a much harder struggle than men, because women are so close, seem to be very close to their mums and very close to their dads, and they very much care about how they think and how they feel, whereas us men, we're a little bit more sort of on our own wave. So but my wife did deal with that, and she remained steadfast also.
Alhamdulillah.
And I think it helped. I think it helped your wife, I think it helped my wife, and I think it helps a lot of other sisters as well, that if they get married early, because if they're married early, then they've got the support of their husband.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine how difficult it must be for a woman to accept Islam and she doesn't have any family, a husband or any other family relatives to support her. So, you know, may Allah aid our sisters and our brothers in that situation and grant them the ability to get through it and show steadfastness. So, ultimately, your experience with your parents has been quite a positive one.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
My experience with my parents has been quite a positive one also. And of course, we acknowledge those who go through a lot of struggles. And, you know, it's from the way of Allah that He tests those that He loves.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, we don't want any Muslims, new Muslims who are going through a difficult time to think that Allah doesn't love them or that their parents don't love them. You can see from this experience that it's a temporary trial. And Allah maybe wants to use this as an opportunity for you to prove to yourself and to Him how serious you are about your Islam and wanting to achieve paradise. So of course we encourage them to remain steadfast on that and to never give up, and to never give up hope on your parents.
Yeah, definitely. And if I was to advise anyone that's not Muslim or have become Muslim, just remember how long it took you to become Muslim. So, and what did the person have to do? Did the person pressure to, you know what I mean? Just remember the etiquettes that they showed you and why you became Muslim, and try to show it to your parents, because a lot of people might become Muslim and like, oh mum, why your book is wrong, or this is wrong, this is your religion's wrong, this is my one's right, why are you guys doing this is disgusting. You need to be able to say, raw, okay, like you're trying to basically say to someone their life is completely wrong and this way of life is completely right.
And what's a part of that as well is you have to remember that the person that you're speaking to, very often your parents, they've brought you up. They're older than you, they raised you.
Exactly.
So it's hard for them, especially sort of from my experience, like black parents who come from the Caribbean or Africa, they've got that sort of attitude where they don't want to hear anything from their kids. So this is something that has to be taken into consideration also, and the fact that sometimes the best way, especially when it comes to family members, the best way to give dawah sometimes isn't to just even verbally speak to them about it. Just show it through your actions.
Exactly. Yeah,
just think to yourself, do you know what? If I be the best Muslim that I can be, and I represent Islam how Islam should be represented, then this is the best opportunity for my family to not only accept this way of life that I've chosen, but to embrace it.
Embrace it. Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, always keep tightness with your family as well. Never think, okay, right, because they're not what I'm following, I have to leave them or abandon them. No, always keep tightness with your family. I mean, for you to just run off and do your own thing and say, forget my family, it just gives them a negative feeling. We're like, okay, right, I knew he's going to be like that. Or
not even just a negative feeling, but in fact, should actually anger Allah.
Exactly.
Because it's a principle in Islam to maintain the ties between kith and kin. So for you some brothers and some sisters, they may become quite extreme in a sense and say, oh, my family don't accept me, so I'm going to go away or make barah from them, let's stay away from them. And this is something that Allah would not be pleased with. So most certainly it's something that you should, like you said, maintain your relationship at all costs to the best of your ability. And in some instances, your family members might make it such that you do literally have to step away.
Yeah.
You know, because we certainly know of circumstances, I'm sure, where it's actually made sense and been better for that individual to take a step away and then come back to their family after a period of time. And Allah always knows better than we do. So would you like to leave any sort of advice at all for any of our brothers and sisters going through this?
As I said earlier, just keep the ties between your family really strong. Have sabr, have patience. And if your family is one of them ones where they're really anti it, then practice in silence and give da'wah, basically. Give through example. So show your actions and what have you. Let them see that, okay, right, he's for example, my situation, I was living this kind of life, and now I've changed it. Be like, you know what I mean? Keep the family ties really close.
Barakallahu feek again. Jibril Abu Aasiyah, barakallahu feek.
Very,
very, very beneficial. Very, very important subject. I'm sure everybody would agree with that.
Definitely.
Brothers and sisters, that's all the time we have for today. We discussed, as new Muslims, how to deal with non-Muslim family members. Next time we'll be discussing a very, very, very important topic, which is how to remain steadfast as a new Muslim. So until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.